Well, good afternoon, and thank you for having me here. When I was preparing for this presentation, I spent some time thinking about what would be the most valuable thing that I could deliver to my audience. And I know that most of what you will come across within leaders is very much focused on your business. Now, the whole idea of working on your business rather than in your business makes so much sense, doesn't it? And yet, one of the greatest challenges we have as business owners and senior executives within business is finding the time and finding the inspiration to get up above what's going on in the day-to-day operation of the business and spend some time in our business context. And it's no different for us in our personal lives. So my objective this afternoon is to spend a little bit of time in that context for you as individuals. Before I go there though, wealth management, the whole idea of wealth management means different things to different people. If you ask 10 people off the street what it meant, you'd get 10 quite different answers. In fact, I think if you ask 10 financial advisors, you'd get 10 quite different answers. So when we think about what wealth management is, I think what's really important is that we get away from the idea that it's about product and performance. And it's more, and we shift that to that it's about people and the outcomes that they get in their lives. So in my presentation today, I'm going to share with you a whole lot of information that we've gathered with my business partners and my colleagues. We've got 30 odd people in our business around having helped hundreds, I guess, of families make better decisions with their money, achieve better results from them for themselves personally. So when you think about what a financial advisor does, and I guess by reputation, you would have expected, I guess, me to be trying to sell you something today, perhaps an apartment off the plan in Queensland or something similar. That's not it at all. I'm going to be spending some time on you. If I look at it from my point of view, something very exciting, it was alluded to in the introduction, but something very exciting is happening for me in August this year, and that is the publication of my book, Wealth with Purpose. So all of these ideas come out of the book, Wealth with Purpose, and it's my absolute pleasure to be sharing some of these ideas with you today. The tips, the traps, the pitfalls, the ideas, the things that I think can help you be more effective in living a more fulfilled life. In preparing, I was given the feedback forms that you had prepared from the last leaders' session a month ago. And I found it fascinating, the responses and the ideas of what you'd like us to talk about. And I'm going to deal with one of them, if that's okay. Because most of the suggestions, as I expected, were in the content. And this, if we liken it to a business, we're in the operations, the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of what's going on, rather than in the context. And there was one question, and I don't know if the person will be brave enough to indicate who they were. There was one person who asked what I would consider to be a context question, and that question was, where do I start? If I was going to hear from a wealth management type person, the question I've got is, where would I start? As the industry experts for wealth management within WA Leaders, we are here for you to answer lots of these content questions. So as these relationships develop, as you get to know each other better, as you get to know us better, please talk to me, John, Ryan, my colleague, Serena West, my colleague. All of us are happy to assist you answering some of these questions. But I thought the most value that I could deliver for you today was up in the context, helping you with a framework to make smarter decisions with your money. Before we go on, I think it's important that we define what wealth is. So at your tables, take a moment. What's wealth? How do we define it? And then we'll come back. Just take a couple of minutes for me. Okay, let's just quickly run around the room. Let's start in the front here. How do we, if you could pick a table spokesman, what was the consensus? What's wealth?
Well, being able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Same thing? Same thing? Same. Pardon me? Yep. Choice. Excellent.
Freedom, we used to say.
Freedom. Awesome. So you've read the notes. What we know from the research is that money in and of itself does not make us happy. There's a very, very interesting, it helps, don't get me wrong, being poor is crap, but what we find is that on the y-axis, happiness, and on the x-axis, dollars, there is a point after which the marginal gain in terms of happiness for each unit of wealth or measured by dollars that we have, there is a diminishing return. Tim Kasser, a psychologist who is part of the School of Positive Psychology, is very firmly of the view that if your method of scoring your success is around the amount of money that you have accumulated, then you are setting yourself up for a really tough time in terms of living up to an expectation and really being satisfied around what's important in life. So great work in terms of what wealth is. I just want to set the scene. This is a little vignette, if you will, a little insight into the lives of many of the people that I've worked with over the years, certainly at CEO level and business owner level. And I'd like, if you could, to work with me on this, just to picture yourself in this situation. It's Monday morning, and you've had a fantastic weekend. You've spent a whole bunch of time with people you like, people you care about. Your footy team has won. But having spent a great time over the weekend, you're also ready to get to work. You're ready to get into it and really start hitting the tiles and getting going in terms of what has to happen for the week. You've got a to-do list left over from last week. Who on a Monday's got a to-do list left over from last week? Yeah. And you've got projects that need to be closed out. You've got some people issues you need to be dealing with. You've probably got some personal stuff that needs to be dealt with as well. You with me so far? So fast forward to Wednesday. You've had a terrific week so far. Some projects have been dealt with, but another one's come along. Chris has been to see you, so all of a sudden you've got all these boxes that you've got to try and you've got sticky things up on the wall and people are contributing to the sticky things. You've also had a phone call from the accountant and said, have you got that stuff for me yet? I really need you to get that stuff because we've got to get your tax return. Yeah, I'll get to that. People issues, knock at the door, and life goes on, right? Now it's Friday, and you're ready to wrap up for the week. And you're driving home, and you're pretty happy with yourself. A couple of new customers, new staff member, business is going well, you're hitting your targets. And as you drive up the driveway, you're really starting to look forward to the weekend again. See, this is one of the things that when the issues I've got with retirement. What do we love about holidays? We've got something to look forward to? So the whole idea of getting balance in our work is about making sure we've got something to look forward to personally. And as we drive up the driveway, shut the door, get out of the car, then shut the door, preferably. You walk up the front steps, you open the door, and as you walk through the door, you put down your briefcase and you put down your phone and your keys. And in that moment, you think, oh, God, I've got to deal with that personal stuff, that financial stuff. I didn't get back to the accountant. I've got to deal with that super stuff. I know I should be having a conversation with Robin about some longer term stuff rather than just when our next holiday is. But in that moment, you've got a choice. Do you turn left into the study and go and deal with all that personal stuff? Or do you continue down the hall and go grab a glass of wine and enjoy time with the people you care about? By show of hands, who turns left and goes and deals with all the stuff? Who continues on down the hall and spends time with people they care about? Grabs a glass of wine or a beer or watches their... Yep. So some people don't do anything, some people are confused. That was an interactive moment in the presentation. But there's a reason why we do this. This goes right to the core of who we are as humans. As you walk down the hall, there's a whole lot of chemistry going on. Because you as a human are drawn to the experiences that are going to reward you. And you are being drawn by two specific hormones. Dopamine, which is the happy drug. We like to be around people who make us happy. And the other one is oxytocin, which is the love drug. That's the one that's released during orgasm. So it's not a bad hormone, but we get it in lots of other parts of our life as well. They are the happiness drugs, so we're drawn naturally to that. And for many people, the whole notion of dealing with their money stuff, and it's stuff, right? Lots of it's just stuff, causes the release of cortisol. And cortisol is actually a stress response, and you die young if you release too much cortisol. So we've got a problem here. And we know this from society. A recent survey conducted by Ipsos on behalf of MLC Wealth identified that 46%, two-thirds, of all Australian households that earn more than $200,000 a year, so it's 46%, two-thirds of all households in Australia that earn more than $200,000 a year. That's the top 10% of all households by income, live paycheck to paycheck. Does that surprise anyone? We also know from that research that people are not expecting the party to last forever, because 56% of the same survey suggested that one of their biggest was their top goal. Who'd like to nominate what the top goal of Australians is? Top goal. Anyone got a thought?
Early retirement?
No, it's good. It's there. It's about fourth. Pardon me? That's number two. Saving for or paying off my mortgage. Number one. Sorry. Spend more time at work, exactly. You get the lollipop. No, the top goal of Australians in that sort of bracket, that demographic bracket, is to continue to enjoy the lifestyle that I've got today. And yet 56% of them, and this was a statistically significant survey, found that they are worried about how they will sustain their income 10 years from now. So we've got a great lifestyle, but we've got some stress associated with how we're going to continue it. Interesting. So we know that money doesn't make us happy. We know that spending time with people does, people we love. I talked earlier about the School of Positive Psychology. A fellow by the name of Martin Siegelman, Professor Martin Siegelman, is one of the leaders in this positive psychology school. And he has identified what he calls the PERMA formula for happiness in life. The first key to happiness is positive emotion. So one of the most important things we can do in terms of living happy and fulfilled lives is to be positive by choice and surround ourselves with positive people. So if you are currently surrounded by people who are telling you you can't do that, you can't achieve that, then it might be controversial, but I'm going to tell you need to change out some of the people you're surrounding yourself with, because it's going to make a difference to what you achieve personally and what you achieve in business. As business owners, you've got a choice around that stuff. You can change people out a little bit more easily than you can change people out at home. Engagement. Engagement is the next key factor in happiness, personal happiness. And this is around being involved, having an opinion, being part of the local sporting club, playing sport midweek, playing golf, doing all these things, doing netball, playing bridge, doesn't matter what it is, but being engaged, having positive relationships, having meaning in your life, doing meaningful work. I get so much meaning in my life from helping my young boys, not so young anymore, grow up to be good men. It's a big part of my journey. It's a big part of my objective, and it goes right to the core of my values. So for me, meaning really matters, and then accomplishment. Aristotle said, humans are goal-seeking animals. Without a sense of accomplishment, we are hollow. Long time ago, but I suspect nothing's changed. So here we are at a bit of an inflection point. We know that we've got some challenges around money as a society, but we also know clearly what makes us happy. But are we making the right choices around this? I want to start off with my first little interactive by asking you a question. And it goes along the lines of, my financial house is completely in order. Everything is in its place, unlike my kids' bedrooms. My goals and plans are clear. I have a plan and I'm making the progress that I need to be making to be personally successful. When you're ready. Well, congratulations to the 35. That's awesome. That's a high score. I rarely get 35 in an audience, so well done. The 52 doesn't surprise me. That's very honest of you. Well done. And even more so of the 3s. But in terms of what I'd expect, that by a population sense is high, and maybe that's because you are predominantly business owners. Maybe you've got that covered more effectively. So well done. You can go home, by the way. We're done with you. You're fine. What I'd like to move to then is to talk a little bit about some of the challenges we face. Because why do we have this situation where more than half of us in the room are saying, well, you know what, I'm doing okay, but I know I could be doing better, and what do you do about it? This little symbol, this little drawing by a friend of mine, Carl Richards, just is an emotional response to the way a lot of us feel about our personal stuff, because I know that we put so much time and effort into getting things right for our business, right? And yet at home it's a bit of a challenge. We've talked about that already. But how good would it feel if everything was like that? How many minutes? Is that 10 to go? Excellent, thank you. How would it feel if everything did look like that? Feel different, right? Feel good. One of the biggest challenges that we've got in this society is that we have only got 168 hours in the week. And it doesn't matter how much money you've got, and it doesn't matter how influential you are, doesn't even matter how good looking you are, you've got 168 hours in the week. So if you work a pretty normal week, let's say 50, is that fair? People working in business, I don't know many who work a lot less than 50. I know a lot who work a lot more than 50, but let's call it 50. Then you sleep for the regulation hours, 58. Then you've got 62 hours left in the week to achieve everything that you want to achieve. Parenting, spending time with family, spending time with ageing parents, spending time with young kids, spending time with grandchildren, sport and other commitments, your faith, your friendships, and so on. So we are stretched. There's no doubt about that. So it's then a case of saying, well, when we talk to new clients, what they're after from us is really, really simple. And I think that most of what us are after in the financial context of our lives is really simple too. 3 things. The first is clarity. Where am I going? And what's the best way to get there? The next is insight. I can't be good at everything. I need to leverage ideas. I need to leverage thoughts. I need to get other information. This is the same in business. CEOs of businesses hire CFOs for a reason. They hire operations managers for a reason, because they can't be good at everything themselves. So clarity, insight, and partnership. Same at work. We want to create constructive partnerships with the people we work with to ensure that in the whole we get a much better outcome. So where we're good in business and we plan really, really carefully in business, do we do the same in our personal lives? So let's just run a little experiment here. The question for the first one is, in our business we have a clear plan for the future. We understand our corporate values, our plan reflects what we want to achieve together, and step by step we implement, review and adjust our strategy. So answers are, yep, got it covered. 2, we're good, but we could be more disciplined to stay on plan. 3, we're nowhere near where we need to be. Let's vote. Good. Okay, for the 26, there's plenty of resources in the room to help you with that. But for everybody else, that's pretty much what I expect. That's a very good result. Well done, and you're on track. Let's check this in for personal now. I've got a clear plan for the future. I understand my values. My financial goals are clearly documented. My plan reflects what I or we as a family want to achieve. And there's a step-by-step plan to implement, review and adjust our strategy. 1, we've got it covered. 2, we're good, but we need to be more disciplined. 3, we're not where we need to be. Let's vote. Okay, that's pretty much what I expected. And thank you for your honesty and thank you for being candid. Well done to the 21%. You got it nailed. For everybody else, I want you to know that you're in very, very good company, because this little piece of research that I'm going to talk about next is conducted by CEG Worldwide on affluent families. So it's very targeted research. And it's been validated in Australia. The 5 things that people are looking for, and there's one thing missing from this, and I'll talk about that in a moment. The 5 things people are looking for, they want to make smart decisions with their money because there's an acknowledgement that it's too hard to come by in the first place. So looking after it and stewarding it and not doing dumb stuff makes a lot of sense. The second thing is they want to enhance and optimise their position. So this is about making sure they make smart decisions around tax, structuring and so forth. That they don't have way more of insurance than they may need, and they don't have way more of anything that they need, that they've got it just right. The third is that they seek to protect their families and those they care about and provide the best opportunities they possibly can. The fourth is they seek to protect their wealth from unnecessary claim, legal claim, very important, asset protection for business owners. And 5, they seek to make a contribution from the community. But what this research showed was, whilst they're really clear on what they want, they're not sure how to get it. So I want to introduce to you a framework for success that we've developed in our firm over 20 years, I guess, and there's been various iterations of it. The first quadrant is all about your purpose. understanding what's important to you, understanding your values, what drives your decision making, having a clear anchor around your values and your goals stops you getting dragged off and making ad hoc decisions. The third part of the first quadrant, so values, goals, is priorities. Number 3 is priorities. Because whilst we might have lots of goals, our financial situation might be that we can't have it all at once. So we're going to have some trade-offs. What are we going to put first? Our needs for security and retirement or the Ferrari? So there's choices to be made and trade-offs. The second is strategy, having a strategic plan for yourself that makes sense. What do I need to do? What's the step-by-step action plan of what I need to do to be financially successful? The third is investment planning. Now, so much time and effort and so much ink within the press is used trying to help people understand how they can beat the market, how they can be smarter than everyone with investing. I'm going to say, if you get step 1, press the wrong button and I can't go back, step 1 and step 2 right, then step 3 is much easier. And what you really can afford to focus on then is having an investment strategy that won't let you down. And then the fourth area is legacy planning, making sure your estate planning is right and everything else is in order. Because when it comes to estate planning and our insurances, we all want to be remembered for the happy memories that we leave behind and not for any mess that we might leave behind. So that's the framework that we think is really worthwhile to use to step through for success. Now, in your handouts, there's an exercise that I'm going to leave with you to take away, and I think it's a really useful exercise. In the word cloud, there, I want you to identify the 4 words that jump off the page and talk to you most loudly. For me, they are family. Where are we? Okay. Independence. Where is it? No, I can't see. Discovery. So for me, for example, one of my values, I like doing interesting things. I like going interesting places. I like being an early adopter of technology. So there's some examples. Now, once you've identified your 4, I want you to transfer them to the bottom of the page. And then I want you to ask a simple question. If one of yours, for example, is family, I want you to ask the question, what's important about family to me? And I want you to write down the answer. And once you've written down that answer, I'm going to ask, what's important about that to me? Until you've gone around all 4 and worked out your own values cloud. The reason I'm finishing on values as far as your personal financial planning and your wealth management is concerned is that implicit in what I'm saying is that the work that we're doing here needs to be done before we start making financial decisions. Because if we can align our values and our goals to the decisions that we're making at a financial level, we also know that you're far more likely to achieve this outcome, which is an alignment of your goals and your dreams and your financial resources to result in your one best financial life. So my objective in a very quick half hour is to give you a big overview, a context overview of some of the things that you might be doing to get better outcomes for you. How would it feel to achieve that? To have your goals and dreams lined up with your resources for you to be living your one best financial life. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.